All right. Bring to attendance the July meeting for the Hamilton County Council. Madam Auditor, can I have a roll call?
Yes, Brad Beaver,
Here.
Mark Hall,
Present.
Amy Mossalamani,
Present.
Ken Alexander,
Present.
Sue Mackey,
Present.
Tim Griffin.
Here.
Steve Nation is not here yet, but you do have a floor, Mr. President.
Thank you. And please rise for invocation and pledge. Bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for the time you get to spend with us. May we think about the day we had yesterday, celebrating our independence, and keep our first responders and military personnel that fight for those freedoms in our thoughts today. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First item of business is a second public hearing for resolution CC 06072023.1. With that, we have Connor Sullivan.
How's that we're doing? As Councilman Alexander said, this is just the second public hearing for resolution 06072023.1. It is required by statute for this, since it is over the control project limit, to have two public hearings. With that being said, we do have Zach Klutz, bond counsel, and Oscar Gutierrez, our municipal advisor from Bondry. I'm here to go over some details that were mentioned last time, but just going to be reiterated again for the public record today. And if there's any additional questions, then these are the guys that you want to ask for. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Zach Klutz with Taft, serving as bond counsel for this project and financing. This is, as Connor said, the second statutory step, where it is a two-step process. We're right now operating in the controlled project statute, and you're required to hold two public hearings on the project and the proposed financing. If this resolution passes, we will publish notice that it was passed, and that will trigger a 30-day taxpayer petition period. If that period expires, we will then move into authorizing and approving the bond and lease documents, and then that is a second 30-day objection period as well under that section of the statute. So this is the second public hearing required under the controlled project statute. It's a preliminary determination of both a desire to move forward with the project and a desire to move forward with the financing for the project. Pause there if there's questions.
Well, I'll just say that I sent out, as well as passed around in front of you, you'll see a timeline. There's two different timelines here. One would be if a July 5th resolution adoption, and the other one would be later. This is the second reading for the statutory requirement because it's a controlled project. We haven't had one of those in front of us for a while that I'm aware of since I've been on council. But this would be because it's outside of it's a greater than the 18.3 million.
Correct.
Right. 18.3 million, and this is go through the process of making sure that we can move forward into the next step. The commitment, the financial commitment would happen at the second step, which would be when we want to hire the bot developer and go out for a bond for the project. And I think part of that is I shared that there's a process to the procurement side of things that I think this council needs to understand completely the process for bot, as well as the other different procurement methodologies. You know, and I'm going to ask later if there's in the officer reports if there's some opportunities for us to get together for a work session or executive session to discuss that. But I think that's here, so I just pass it out. Everyone should have it in front of them if they have any questions. Is there any questions for tonight?
Nope.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need to open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Got a little ahead of ourselves, didn't we? So with that, I'll open up the public hearing. All right. Seeing no one, is anyone here to provide any public comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. right. Comments, questions?
We need to have exec sometime down the road.
When we get to the president's comments, I'm gonna ask people for their availability to set that meeting up. I agree with you.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion for the approval of the regular meeting from June 7th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any public comments? Do we have anyone signed up to speak tonight? Okay. Committee reports. As I mentioned, President Rule, I'd like to, everyone look at their calendars. I know that if we're looking for big windows that we can work with them to find an executive session. There's been a desire to have that right before the next council meeting. If we want to do it separately, we can do that as well. Obviously, that comes a little bit more, some more coordination. So do I have any thoughts and ideas?
It's pretty tough to get the county council together outside the regular meeting.
I agree.
So I think if you're gonna do it, maybe you shoot for August 2nd at 5:30.
Is it 5 or 5:30? What works best for
How
everyone?
much time do you think we need?
Well, so the items I'm looking to put on it would be the procurement discussion, an update on projects, real briefly, for where we stand on some of the ones that we've already funded to the state, and kind of where do we stand with those. I think there's some other discussions on legal as well that we might be able to wrap into that conversation at the same time, but I'm open to other ideas. I think an hour to an hour and a half. I prefer an hour and a half.
Do 5:30.
Yeah, are you planning on having Mr. Gutierrez bring his presentation? He's got a presentation for us he's working on.
Who?
for
Oscar Gutierrez. So,
In the exec? No.
No, he's
so,
got it.
so
That was
the,
the second.
the,
Public
the,
Building Corporation.
the opportunity for us to get together, discuss procurement strategies, I was gonna bring in, Oscar and his team could be presenting, but
Different
also,
meeting.
there's also experts in the field of procurement that understand the state statutes, that could also weigh in, that I wanna make sure we're here, because we wanna understand all the different options that we have available to us.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you're gonna bring Oscar in, an hour and a half's probably not enough. So if he's not coming into that one, an hour and a half probably is enough.
You want to do it at the same time. The thing about it is, do not bring in outside people to exec. If you want to close the exec and go to a work session, that's okay with me. Outside vendors don't get to come to exec.
A work session, I think for this would be a work session. I think an executive session would have to be something that was protected by HR issues, purchasing real estate, things of that nature.
That's right, and we need to have that too.
That's me. So what we can do is we can have an executive session for those items and then follow it up with the,
Yeah,
Why don't
okay.
you do
So then
5
we
to
five,
6?
like,
Why don't you
start
do
at 5
5 to
then?
6 exec and 6 to 7 work?
Yeah,
That
okay.
work?
It's a good idea.
all right, we'll plan for that. Don, you got that work for you?
Yeah, exec's just gonna be for Land Act.
Well, I'm
Do we
gonna
need a
get
full
there,
hour? Yeah.
the other items that we'll talk about on it and send it to you.
If we.
That'd be a
do it
yes.
all
It
that
has to be
time,
part
which I
of
guess
the
we will.
publication.
Yep, I know.
Maybe
I'll get that out
start early.
this week.
Yeah.
Start late.
Should we flip it?
Do we anticipate that the exec session will be a full hour?
I think the exec session will be shorter.
So then would we be better off saying you have exec from 5 to 5:30 so that then you can start the work session if it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We'll start the work session when the exec
I thought it
session's
did matter
done.
though. You
Yep.
It
can't
does
start,
matter.
you can't start early.
You
You
can't
gotta
start.
know.
We can start the work session early.
No,
No,
once you
you can't.
advertise, you can't.
'Cause that's a
So
public
do
meeting.
5 to
Public
5:30 exec and 5:30 to 7 work, and if we run over on exec,
Exec,
then
it's
fine, and
okay.
we'll
Ah,
start work later.
That'll work.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
great job. Thank you.
anytime I can help, I'm here.
With that, I'll just say that I know that everyone had wonderful 4th of July opportunities. I had the opportunity to go up to Cicero and run a 5K, and I'm not sure I'll do that anytime soon again. So, but it was a wonderful race. Vice President,
I have nothing, sir.
Highway.
We met, but they'll all be on next month's agenda.
And I think I want to add to that, we're going to talk about some of the procurement as well for highway as well. So so, but when we meet. Finance.
Yeah, all of you got this bullet point. I wanna go through this real quick. This bullet point presentation was put together for me by Mike Reuter, okay? I've been in consulting with the auditor's office and Lee Graham. What's her official title?
She's settlement lead.
Settlement. Anyway, so look at this. So the long and the short of it is the state's gonna reduce their portion of state income tax 2.5%. And what I'm proposing that we do is that we increase, through the council, we increase ours, that same exact amount, and then we use that increase to increase property owners' homestead credit. So instead of the income tax that we raised, the 2.5%, and you see how it's phased in over 4 or 5 years. So that's why it's important to get started, because the biggest chunk comes in the first year. And we're under a time frame as to when you can do it. But the idea there is that the county doesn't have any real authority over property taxes. That's all set by the legislature, but we do have authority over the homestead credit. So we take the 2.5 that the state was going to decrease their income tax, increase ours. Now we'll have to get buy-in from the majority of the Coet Council. So we take that and we apply that to the citizens' homestead credit. And that total amount will be a little less than $53 million. And then it's broken out by what your property tax cap is in the particular jurisdiction you're in. But that's the long and the short of it, and that's what I would like to do. Now, if I can get the council to give me a resolution that we're in favor of it, then I will have Jeter and the auditor's office send this to all the jurisdictions and then try to get on their calendar, send it to them so it's in their lap. This particular spreadsheet and the official co-adoption, and then go make a personal appearance, and anybody wants to go can, to be there so there's a face to look at. This is what I want to do. This is what I want us to do as a co-op council.
I have some questions about at what levels does this become a lose proposition for someone? Like, if you take someone with the average home value and the average income, how much money do they save, or do they lose because they lost the income tax? And where's that break even?
It depends on what the property tax cap is in your jurisdiction. In Carmel, it's $300,000. If your house is less than $300,000, you increase
Okay, thank you.
your homestead credit. If you're over, it goes to the taxing district. Now, along with that, Mike has talked to me, and we've talked to Chris Jeter. We're hoping to
That's almost
get
all the house.
legislation that eliminates that property tax kickback to the local jurisdiction, so everything goes to homestead in the next session.
Do we have any idea what the percent then of Carmel, like as Carmel was the
Yeah,
example?
now see, like Sheridan's even higher, because their tax credit, their tax cap's higher. So in Sheridan, you would hit the circuit breaker at 100,000. In Carmel, you hit it at 300,000. It depends on what taxing district you're in.
It could be a very relatively small amount of people that would be,
Receiving it though?
that's what
I mean, in
Yeah.
Carmel, we're talking, if we looked at the average home now, I would say that you're gonna be hard to find many
what
that are.
Sheridan's.
Well, I think those are gonna be the questions that are gonna be asked when you go on your road show.
Yeah,
And so there's.
have it all broken
There's gonna
down.
be data
It
that's
is
gonna-
not a panacea. It is an attempt to give some property tax relief. It is the only lever that the county and in the Coet Council has to give any kind of tax relief.
We have planned to do with funds that are excess.
Yeah, that'd be.
Goes to the jurisdiction.
for the taxing districts of the
Yes.
township?
Yes, the city, the taxing district. If you're in an incorporated area and you're over the circuit breaker now, it goes to the taxing district.
But everyone wouldn't have the same benefit of the income tax reduction that the rest of the state is
That's right.
receiving. And if you were a high net worth or a high income person compared to home value, or you hit that cap,
Right.
you're gonna be paying more income tax than if you
No,
lived across.
nobody would pay more income tax.
Well, they wouldn't get the benefit of the reduction the state is.
No, this is intended, the real person to look into benefit is the homeowner who is senior citizen, retired on fixed income.
I was trying to get his comments, yeah. Sounds good.
Their taxes continue to go up, and they are not working, so they have no way of supplementing that cost.
So if someone's a renter, a
They
get
single
nothing.
mom
They
with
don't
They get
two,
nothing, but they have no impact because the state's raising it, we're trying to pick it up.
But
So
the impact
this
would-
year against next year, they will see no tax increase.
so, but say they wouldn't see an increase, but they wouldn't see the decrease
will not.
everybody
No.
else received.
So would money in hand be better? I mean, because everybody then would be receiving that tax break. I mean, I kind of feel like, I love where the heart of this is,
Oh, yeah.
but my only problem is I feel like money in hand is better than giving the few.
Unless you're on fixed income or retired.
Yeah,
Do you
like,
know what the percent is of fixed income or retired within?
No, but I know how many people claim homestead credit, that's 103,500 in Hamilton County.
What happens to somebody that works in Hamilton County but lives in another county?
It depends on where you pay your income tax. If you live here, you pay income tax here.
Yeah, but I work here,
But you live someplace
I live in
else,
Tipton.
Tipton collects your income tax.
But out of that 103, it's only those households are gonna benefit if they fall under
What's
the
on-
Circuit
under
breaker.
300, the circuit
of
breaker.
their taxing
And we have no
district.
idea how many of those people are. And a lot of these senior citizens, I know a lot, there's senior citizens that are having appraised value, or an assessed value, I should say, of their home over 300 in Carmel. And I see and they're struggling, yeah, I see that, but then it's not gonna really benefit
Well,
them.
that's what I'm saying. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
That's why we were looking to, and Reuters suggested this, I didn't even realize it, that if we would get the legislature to eliminate that circuit breaker kickback to the local, which there would be no reason for them not to, then everybody could get the benefit as long as you take the circuit breaker kick out.
Does that become an incentive for the other co-ed member cities to push this through so they got another revenue source?
You know, it all becomes a political question.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why we didn't get property tax relief from the General Assembly anyway.
I don't think that was a question for our council.
I don't know, I was
No,
looking
it's
at it,
not.
looking
No,
at
it's
it.
not.
We all agree.
No, it's not. But, you know what I mean? This opportunity, this is something we have an opportunity to do.
Well, I think that this is the heart, I think, I agree with you, Tim, the heart of this is in the right place. It's, the devil's in the details. I think we need to get a little bit, if we're gonna be going to the different cities, while that maybe is being drafted up, is maybe identifying how many households in those different cities will be benefiting from this, so when we go out there, we'll be able to identify that. And you can do that just, I think, by looking at the tax rolls, I would imagine, for the different houses.
We got between August and October.
So basically, if we were able to get a little bit more granular on the information, include this in the work session discussion, right? Because I think we do need a little bit more, I need more detail in order to determine what because I don't disagree, with anything that's been said, I think the purpose is mighty,
What
right?
can we
It's just
do?
what is
Yeah,
the.
what can we do?
So I think if we could plan to have the resolution, then what, you'd have to have it drafted or adopted then for August? And then from there, you could go in September to each of the,
Well, look,
I'm
I've
just
tried this,
thinking, I don't know.
I've tried this before. You would be surprised how hard it is to get on their agenda.
and you have to have the majority.
No,
No.
we gotta have two big cities is what we gotta have.
Also,
The majority.
Now, to be fair, you want to send it to everybody.
Sure.
Right.
But the political reality is if you get Noblesville and Carmel and the county, you got enough. If you get the county and Fishers and Noblesville, you got enough. You gotta have the majority of the COA council.
Needs to be-
And it's split up by population.
Can we unring the bell if we get property tax relief from the state legislature in the future?
We control, the COA council controls income tax every year.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
So
he
we
had a
can
bunch of
unring
Yes.
questions
it.
that we
Yeah.
can ask in the work session.
I know. Steve, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I know you had several questions. I've got them here. I can read them through. I think Brad's already answered several of them. But if we bring this to a work session, would that be appropriate to have those questions reviewed?
We're not acting tonight.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I thought that would be the much better and reasonable way to go ahead and do it, because I think there's questions that I heard when I came on were the ones that I asked in that memo that I sent out today. And I still don't understand if we have an avenue under the property tax relief rate that we can go ahead and reduce that, why we don't go that way instead of increasing the local income tax. But I think that can all be handled better in a work session.
You need to double check that. I don't believe we have that authority.
Well, it was, the only reason I was citing that was in your, the sheets that were handed out that we can reduce.
Tax relief.
Huh?
Who's referring to this?
I think it was.
The maximum? Yeah.
The statute that was quoted in the,
Yeah, let's-
in the memo was IC 6-3.6-5-6.
Okay. Well, I think there's a lot of, there's questions, heart's in the right place. It's something that I think we've all agreed that this would be something we want to get done to help some relief for seniors and fixed income individuals in our county. Is that all right? Brad, to take it to work session?
We can drill down into it during the work session. Tell me whatever you need, you know what I mean?
Well, I think I've got the questions from Steve. If you have others, you want
yeah.
to forward them to me, and I'll
Yeah, I have my
I'll put them all
questions, yeah.
together and send them over to you, Brad. Does that work?
Okay,
Okay.
Now, let me just say before we leave this is not perfect,
right.
and it doesn't hit everybody. But the people who need the help are not being helped by the reduction in income tax. Okay? My dad on Social Security, 0.25% is not making the difference. We need property tax relief. That's what we need. That's all I got to say.
With finance, it's safe to say that we did not meet this month.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, personnel.
We didn't meet, there's one item on the agenda.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Any miscellaneous? Okay. Moving on, we have some table businesses. Does anyone want to move over any of those? Seeing none, I'll move on. Do I have a motion to approve vendor claims?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. I got it. We gotta do roll calls for everything, right?
Yes.
Do I need to go back and do anything, but he got on? Just that
This is
one?
the first vote.
Would you like to do it now?
Ready?
Yep.
And I'm just gonna say your last names, no disrespect included, okay? Beaver,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Masalani,
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Okay. All right, next item is the approval of the one zone invoice 71149. This is
So
for-
moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm sorry.
Beaver. Hall,
Aye.
Masalani,
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, we have introduction of the Business and Entertainment, Sport, and Tourism Capital Fund, and increase of the lodging tax. Linda Myers.
Good evening. As you know, we've been working at Hamilton County Tourism and with the Hamilton County Visitor and Convention Commission, the Tourism Commission, to explore ways to create a capital fund that would be used for major projects and would be a separate fund managed at the Tourism Commission level for long-term major impactful projects. Now, you look at a community like Indianapolis, their money is all handled by the Capital Improvement Board. They manage the assets, but they don't necessarily own the assets. Same would be here. The Tourism Commission would work on a formula for distribution and have partial competition in order to really generate impactful items. This is not a small ball program. This is pretty much a big program. And as we are now one of the largest youth sports destinations in the country, and we are also one of the largest entertainment destinations in the Midwest, we thought it was time for us to invest in product and communities, have great ideas, and look for a very formal process by which we can help them. We got an EDA grant, if you'll remember, and Karen Ratcliffe, our Vice President and CSO, who's back here, has been leading this mammoth study to look at a playbook of the ROI on investments. And so that will be sort of our guidebook, and we will prioritize those things that return fastest and also provide meaningful returns. So we would like to introduce this. I would like you to know that the hotels are very supportive of this. We've been working with them for over a year on the idea. And then Senator Baldwin worked with us to get the opportunity to create the fund in the legislature during the legislative session. Are there any questions initially? Ann Poindexter, our attorney, has worked with the commission the county to create a draft of the tax language. And at this point, I'm still not sure now what the process is, but maybe Robin or Dawn could explain to us just now what the process would be, or Chris, for adoption.
Will have to be next month,
Have to be next
Yeah,
month, right?
within
That's what I
10-day
thought, because
notice,
we
yeah.
didn't get it
Right.
published. Okay, right,
10 days notice.
right. Is there a two-step process for adoption once if the council?
No, I think it has a post-adoption notice requirement as
Okay.
well, but
Great.
I can get with the auditor on
Okay,
that.
that'd be great. Thank you. That would just be helpful for us to understand.
Yep.
Our hotels we'll start booking 24 business in late August and September. So we had hoped to try to get this over the finish line with your approval, of course, and with the county commissioner's approval, so that we could give them notice as they develop their 24 contracts. Hamilton County has a 5% rate now, and what we're asking for is an 8% rate with 3% set aside for capital improvement projects. And within about 3 years, that'll generate about $6 million a year. Marion County's tax rate is 10, Hendricks County's 8, Vanderburgh County, and the other two larger counties, Vanderburgh and Allen County, are at 8.
So in essence, this brings us up to the rate or below the rate of our competition in Indiana.
It does. I mean, the hotels are not worried about the rate. I think they really trust us, and they believe that these will be transformative projects. We have 500 more hotel rooms coming online next year, and we've seen an almost doubling of use of Airbnbs in our county, and so they're looking for ways to fill those rooms, and they want us to work on ways to help fill those rooms.
I do have a few comments. Years ago, I was on the Tourism Commission when we went from, I can't remember what tax rate to our
3 to
current
5.
5%. And that extra money was used to invest in meaningful and transformative projects in our community throughout the county. And without that, we would not have things like Grand Park and things that nature that have driven tourism to our county. So if just history repeats itself, I know that the Tourism Commission is going to be investing this in some great projects throughout our county, and the local entities that are going to be getting their share of that tourism dollars, it'll be a great asset to our community.
What's preventing the municipalities or others that are getting this money from spending this money on something other than tourism?
Karen is welcome to come up and speak to it, but the Hendon, the study that we're doing, the BEST study, is outlining a plan of action that has guardrails for use only in the way that, first of all, we baked that in to the state language, so it has to be transformative projects. And then we are putting together a proposal. The company that we're using manages several of these, including the state of Kentucky's proposals, how they come through the transom and how they're studied. They will be run through an economic impact calculator, and they will have to meet a threshold of significant tourism in order to be funded. And one of the % set aside we'd like to have as a competitive pool, because we think some of the ideas could come from nonprofits, parks departments, and other agencies that might have ideas that we haven't even thought of. And so we would like to we would like Hamilton County Tourism Inc. to still be a research and development arm, continue doing the high level of research that we're doing, and also do feasibility studies and product testing and consumer testing on things, and so that we'll be able to make smart, wise, and thoughtful decisions. A couple of other things, to your point, Sue, the GDP in Hamilton County has grown 61% since 2008. Tourism has grown 200%. We are so now codependent on the travel economy, and we've moved from 2 million visitors a year to 6 million visitors a year. Now, our residents still think tourism is fine, and I want you to know that we're watching it to make sure that we don't experience over-tourism. But tourism is an important economic tool and provides a significant amount of income for our retail shops and for our restaurants and for individuals. And so it's really, one of the reasons we like this plan is often a community will elevate its tax in order to cover one project in one city. And what we like about this is working with you and the county commissioners to come up with a way to do a distribution plan, which I know we're not there yet, but come up with a way to do a distribution plan that will really be impactful and even out the playing field and create opportunity everywhere. So we love this idea that it's not gonna just go for one project, but it could go for many projects.
So if I could just add, so if I understand you correctly, so if money's going to, let's just say, Fishers, and they want to use it on a project that maybe it doesn't qualify as tourism, the commission will say that that's not allowable use, and so it just sits in a kitty until they come forward with a project that does satisfy those requirements?
Yes. What the process that we are toying with now is, so Fishers has an idea, right? They have, they would come to Hamilton County Tourism Inc. We would look at our body of research available, and if we don't have available research, we would do some additional research on it. It would then come across the transom in the summer as a funding idea with that research attached to it. The Tourism Commission, and I do have our Tourism Commission president here, Robin Pogler. The Tourism Commission would review the ROI analysis and help understand what the long game is on that project. And if it meets the threshold, would put it in as a funded entity or funded object for the next year. That then goes in our package to you for appropriation. So you will also have a chance.
So at that point in time, we sign off on it.
Hamilton County Council, it'll be part of our appropriations packet. And so you also will see what those funded projects are. Now, someone could come for a multi-year funding project based on availability, because we all know how 2020 was, but I mean, they have to be careful. It's a sales tax, right? So,
if a community wanted to bond against revenues that were coming out of that, at their percentage of that again would come forward to us.
right, but it would be at their peril. The agreement would not obligate us if the funds weren't available at the commission. Just like our contract with the commission right now, if they don't have the money to pay us, they don't have to pay us, right? So, I mean, it is at their peril that they do that, but.
Well, I mean, without the CIB investments and things of that nature, we would not have had a Super Bowl. We wouldn't have had any of those things that come there. I understand the value that brings and tourism. So, any other questions?
I think the
Yes.
only, sorry, go ahead.
Well, thank you for all the data, and thank you for answering all of my questions. I do appreciate it. Thank you much. Did I understand it correctly? 3% equates to $6 million a year?
I think by 25, we're looking at about 6 5 to 6 million,
Okay.
yeah. I was trying to give you an,
My district runs north. I wouldn't be worth my salt if I didn't say, why doesn't Cicero and the north get any of the distribution?
well, they would qualify for, what we're proposing is they would qualify for 1% pool. They could come in for one of those 3%, right? So what is that, $2 million? They would be able to come in and apply for some of that money. Because outdoor experience, I mean, first of all, we know from our data that the ball fields in Cicero do attract out of area visitors, right? So we have that data, and if they said, well, we want to do this to those ball fields in order to do more play, we would run that through the economic impact calculator and see if that would be a return on investment. Strawtown Catawba Park is a great attraction for us, and so
Certainly.
that would be another.
Well, your own data shows 6%. That's what I was kind of keying off of. Then the Lights Over Morris Festival last weekend, there were thousands of people
But that would
traipsing
not,
around.
that will still qualify for a fund at the tourism level, at HCT Inc. level, not the commission level.
Why
It-
not split that up like the PSAP money?
It has to be a capital investment, has to be an infrastructure investment in order, it can't be an event or.
Oh, sure, but instead
they
of the
can-
half, why shouldn't Cicero or the North get some of those 2 points that are distributed to the Big Four?
They
Right,
could.
your own data shows
They
6%.
could, but Lights Over Cicero wouldn't qualify.
Oh,
But yes,
right,
definitely
just
the
one
ball
example,
fields would
right.
qualify, or if they wanted to do something else, that group gathering spots are really baked into the legislation. Anything can handle larger groups. You know, if say, I don't know, say you wanted to do something at Redbridge Park,
Absolutely, sure.
and definitely sports tourism. For instance, you know, I don't know, the outdoor recreation, like, let's take the Steve Nation Trail, right? That now connects Cicero to Strawtown Catawba Park. Say you wanted to do an impact development node there as a city-led project or community-led project, that would qualify as long as it can prove that it can attract enough humans and be impactful.
So maybe I should ask it a different way. So is the proposed half a point, is that set in stone? Or is some of that, or those dollars would be available for the
That-
North to make a claim
So
to get
the-
some of those dollars?
The 4 half a points we're recommending would be directly sent to the biggest tourism generators, but the remaining 1% would be a competitive project, but mindful of the fact that Hamilton County Tourism Inc. still hopes to work with communities to do research and development to get them a viable project across the finish line.
Same kind of question then
So
about,
say they wanted to come in for public art, while we love public art at Hamilton County Tourism, that would not qualify. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would have to be something that was
oh, I
infrastructure
suspect they'll come
improvements.
ask you about a pool at some point.
Yeah, right, a pool, and now if it.
We used to have a
Yeah,
pool.
my-
We used to have a pool
If it
up
had
there, we
diving
did.
well, if it had competitive diving wells
Hamilton County
and,
owned it,
I forgot about that, right.
and then we filled it in.
Yeah.
and they would allow enough dates on the calendar for competitive events. I think that's the other, we want this to be good for communities, but in order for tourism dollars to have to be committed to something, there has to be available dates for us to bring in events. And the other thing that this project that Karen's studying, I think she should be up here, she's smarter than me, so, is that calendar is important for us. So if you wanna, we need winter business, we need September business, late August, we do not need June business. Does that make sense? So,
When you have referenced the study and that you're working through that, I
Mhm.
guess, and I noticed in October it says the best master plan kickoff. When will you have the full breadth? Because it's great ideas, right? I think it's as far as how you kind of laid it out. But would it behoove us to approve the increase without having firm and concrete guidelines and kind of what the criteria is all meant to be? Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable today, right? Because we don't have that.
no,
And would I next month if we don't have that? I don't know.
we have a draft in front of us. We met
Right.
last week on that draft. Karen has set up a whiteboard meeting where, we're trying to think of every project that could ever come across our way. We won't think of them all, but we're trying to think that way to make sure that we do this right. We would love to share that draft with you if you'd like to review that for sure. The other thing we can share with you is the PowerPoint deck that was presented in our first milestone report, and which is pretty impressive. So what the company that we hired, what Hunden has done, they've done an asset inventory. Then they looked at aspirational communities and what do they have that we don't have. And so they've created that list. And then Karen's working with them on smaller projects. They're still pretty big, but they're smaller projects and bigger projects and what the ROI calculators are on those projects. And that's the guidebook. Does that make sense? So it's really informative. We punch way above our weight class, as you all know, all the time. And Hamilton County punches way above its weight class for its population, right? And so we had to look at million-person cities, edge cities around major metropolitan areas, in order to find communities that could be aspirational for us, and that's what we're doing. Some of them are off the table. I said no outlet mall. But of course, I'm not the person who makes that decision. But I think we want to make sure what we do is sustainable, long-lasting, appropriate, and it's good for residents as well as visitors.
And one comment I'd like to make in connection, and correct me if I'm incorrect, to address Mark's concern. If we get every project in front of us at appropriation time, and if we see that there's not an equitable distribution of those funds throughout the county, and we start seeing everything's going to Fishers or Carmel or Noblesville or whatever, we can say no to some of those.
You're only
and
gonna
say,
see the capital
"Hope there."
projects.
That's right,
Isn't that
right,
correct?
right.
Right.
You're
And-
only gonna see the capital.
And that's
projects.
all that we're talking about in this extra
Well, and
3%.
I want to point out
the
that
people
Hamilton County
projects.
Tourism Inc. is doubling, in its proposed budget for next year, is doubling its community smaller, like the Lights Over Morse investments, it's doubling that next year. So we want to, at the Hamilton County Tourism Inc. level, we also want to increase, that giving will not go away, right? Those funded small grants and medium-sized grants for institutions will not go away. These are big transformative projects, so it might take us 2 to 3 years to work with the community to get to a point where a project makes sense. Am I making sense? I mean, we have a lot of research, but we might have to do more research. We might do a field trip to see what's an appropriate model, like we did when we did Grant Park. Remember that? So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at.
I think I just want to make sure that from the standpoint of everything has draft, right? So I like final.
Okay.
And so I would just say that, and obviously we'll have a separate line item if this goes through and it'll be broken down, but I just would say very granular when you come into budget hearings, if this were to go down that path. I mean, I would want to see, as you kind of attested, we want to see where it's being allocated.
Oh, definitely, and we'd love to share the guidelines with you and get your input. It's very important that the guidelines for awarding these major projects are appropriately written.
And when will those be finalized?
Everything is supposed to be final by October, but we'll start seeing fairly near drafts of that, for instance, maybe.
We have a great draft right now that we're working through, but we really don't have a deadline other than we need to start in January because we'd like to move this project forward in terms of collecting the tax so that we can then invest in projects in 25.
Is
So
there harm in
applications-
us waiting until you have the final
Well, applications,
guidelines?
we have to start collecting the tax for a 25 distribution, and it would only be 10 months of tax because we're always 2 months in arrears. So, and we'd like to start collecting in 24. So by summer of 24, we have the lineup of, the competitive process done. And then you can see that at the fall appropriations hearing, and then that award can be made January 2nd of 25. Does that make sense? So,
I think it does. What I'd ask is, it sounds to me like you have the guardrails and sort of criteria already put together, and there's no process to getting that done until other things are done. But is that something you could provide to us that we could say, yes, we're signing off on this, and maybe we can finalize that document while these other things are happening?
oh, absolutely.
Like
That-
with the
the
stipulations
document that
ultimately
we
saying
reviewed on
pending.
Thursday needs.
Pending,
The document that we reviewed on Thursday, Karen, needs, we eliminated some categories that the consultant in its other projects allows, like, you have to be a nonprofit or a governmental entity to get this money, and and Kentucky allows, like the ARC, that was a Kentucky project, these are $10 million in advance project, but, so our projects have to go to a nonprofit or a governmental entity. Does that make sense? So we're just
Yeah,
working on that language, and once we get that language drafted, we'd be glad to share.
Yeah, I think the reality of it is that if you come back to us and we approve this next, what I don't want is you guys all of a sudden to change the guidelines and
Oh,
then
yeah,
everything
change
that we've
rules,
kind of
yeah.
seen, and so that's what I'm trying to prevent.
I understand, Amy. I also I mean, I hope there's a level of trust here, because we hear you and we have the same concerns that you do. We want to make sure these are good projects, transformative projects, sustainable projects, and are good for both community and visitors. Our hotels have said, we trust you, Hamilton County Tourism, to do the right thing and take that 3% and invest it correctly, and we feel an obligation to do that.
The famous Reaganism is trust but verify. I think
Yeah,
people really-
I know.
If you could just, I think if you get us that criteria, and then when you come back up next month, if there's questions that come up between now and then, we can
And if there's-
Yeah, we can
address
have
this.
that within a week or so, yeah.
And if there's
And if
changes
there are
to it.
changes, I mean,
Yeah, no, great, and we'd be glad to share with you the first milestone report if you'd like to see it, it's pretty fascinating. Or if you don't want all 180 pages, we could give you the executive summary.
I think, any other questions?
I do. Would you look at an appointment from the north? You have,
Well, you all are I mean, you have 2 appointments and
oh,
the
I
commission-
understand.
Yeah,
But would you look at an appointment from the north? You've got 5 for the commissioners, largest city, second largest, third largest, fourth largest. If you take the 2 townships up north, or a portion of Adams Township as well.
that will be designated by the county commissioners, so if I were you, I would talk to them. I mean, but we can definitely tell them that you are interested in having a north appointment.
Well, the people of north need representation too. It is
Oh, I-
Hamilton County tourism. It's,
And it could be that the county council could always appoint one of its as a north, that could be baked into the language.
sure, but I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the north to rotate between Arcadia, Cicero, Atlanta, so they have their own representation. They're gonna continue to grow.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, we'd have.
Basically, remove one of the commissioner
Exactly.
appointments and give it to the north.
I think that sounds like a wonderful idea.
I'm more than willing
Can we
to
get
share that
the
idea.
commissioners?
I
There you
am
go.
more than willing to share that idea.
What's your proposal? You get to propose however
Or
you want.
can we stipulate that the commissioners one of the individual has to be from,
We can definitely write that.
I think, how about this? You're gonna pass along the criteria. If we have comments like that we want to address and put in there, I think we can just weigh in and provide that back to tourism.
No, and these are all very good questions. I mean, we get it that what we're doing is huge, and so it's good that we have great thought around it. I want you to know that. I mean, just because we've discussed it for, I don't know, hours and hours and hours, we now need to discuss this with everyone else, right?
Anything else?
Thank you for your willingness
Thank
to talk
you.
to me.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is all
As always,
great
thank you.
stuff.
All right, next item is a Sheridan Library Board appointment. If you'll notice, there's always a couple of these stragglers that happen in the middle of the year. They're usually tied to our economic development boards or the libraries. We had a Sheridan's library go expire on June 11th of this year. And so Loretta Sutherland is, I think I shared information about that with the rest of the council. She applied online and was the only person that applied for that, so it narrowed down the search for it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments, questions?
Loretta's great.
All right, can I have a roll call? I'm getting, by the end of this meeting, I'll have it down.
Brad Weaver,
Aye.
Mark Hall,
Yes.
Amy Masalani.
Aye.
Ken Alexander.
Aye.
Sue Mackey.
Aye.
Tim Griffin,
Aye.
and Steve Nation.
Aye.
Okay. And just before we move on, the next time, I'll just say that we have another appointment that's gonna come up mid-year in Hamilton North Public, their library board as well. That'll be on 11/30/23, so we'd probably want to address that in November or December. That's the next one, so just keep that in mind.
And for the public to apply.
And for the public to apply, the portal is always open, and we appreciate people utilizing it. All right, next item. We have a resolution CC 07052023-1, an interlocal agreement for US 31 corridor infrastructure investment projects.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Beaver,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Masalani,
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Aye.
Mackey, Griffin.
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Okay, great. So that was just establishing utility board, so appreciate that. Next item is the interlocal agreements concerning distribution of public health grant funds. This is going to change slightly. I think we're only listening to Noblesville and Westfield, is that correct?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I want to verify that that's correct.
Yes, that is correct. We had some language changes that the town of Sheridan asked for, and thought it was more appropriate that we get those fixed and then bring it back.
So the two items that are on our agenda now, being amended based upon that information, is the Westfield and Noblesville only.
The Westfield and Noblesville agreements that you have, Westfield and Noblesville are fine with how they are worded.
Okay, is your motion cover that?
I think we already got a
Yeah,
motion.
that
That is the
I-
same, the one time with the,
I just was making sure that was.
Yes.
Do we
All
have, Jason, do you have a location identified for these?
Yes, I do, and I was thinking about that tonight. I should have had that list with me, that Westfield and Noblesville have identified their locations that they want to do them, and where these are going to be located at, as these grant funds that we have actually kind of come out of these leftover carryover monies that was related to schools, and so as this project has come forward to work with the municipalities to put AEDs on some trails, we're like, this would be a great partnership. And so what we asked for the municipalities were to look for trails that were either near schools or that they crossed over some kind of sports complex, those kinds of things. So we're going to try to help them do a little bit of a heavy lift as a pilot project. Westfield brought this forward first, and Noblesville and Sheridan were like, we want in. So it's like, okay, let's see how we spread the wealth and get this pilot going with some AEDs on trails.
When we put AEDs out at Graham Park, the first month they were out there, it saved a coach's life. That went down during the heat, and they had an AED that was assigned. One of the kids that seen it ran in and took care of it. It was all you have to do is work once, and it's paid itself off many times over.
20 years of being in EMS, I can't tell you how important this is. I mean, I've been on the scene where I've done CPR before off duty, but that doesn't, I can't do anything without equipment, right? So when they have this here, it's a lifesaver, so.
I love this idea. I would not be sitting here were it not for an E AED.
I love it too, and I think it's a great thing. And again, same thing. I wish it was a tool that we never had to use, but putting them in some different and some unique locations like this, I think is a great place for us to be. So
Let's vote.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Ossalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
I just want to thank Councilwoman Massalini for constantly keeping me on my toes today. That's wonderful.
I was kind of hoping being the last on the agenda, it was like, by that time I'll be good and we'll go straight to the roll call, and we'll be good. So thank you very much.
All right, next item, we're going to open up the public hearing. All right. First item is Assessor 144 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by, I'm sorry, got a roll call.
Aye.
I didn't do it that
Paul.
time. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Ossalami.
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Just showing you the value of this, man.
You did. All right, next item, Sheriff 144 amendment. We have two of those.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
All right. Any comments, questions?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
That's all right. Keep me on my toes. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Ossalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Okay, next item, we have Surveyor 144 amendments. Motion to approve.
Do you want to add those all three together?
If you'd like to motion that,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
all those, got a roll call.
I'll do it now.
Well, so now we got two. I saved one, but.
Yeah, it's okay. You still saved it. It's all right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Ossalami.
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Okay, do I have a motion for the combination of the three survey requests?
For approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Now, was that for combined?
That was for the
That was
combined.
that was for the approval of the
That was it,
combined.
okay. So we're ready for roll call?
I'm seeing the comments. Seeing none, may I roll call, please?
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Kent, if you don't mind, I just want to just put one clarification on the GIS. Which departments are going to be participating in that training?
Those departments are surveyor, auditor, assessor, planning, and highway.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right. Next item, Fund 1222 statewide E911. We have a 144 amendment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin.
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
All right, Fund 4905 digital ortho photography.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Amy, what's this one?
Aerial
Aerial.
photography.
Okay.
They're looking in your backyard.
Yeah,
Ken.
and they could see really close too.
I got a nice pergola I'd like them to take photos of.
We see through it. We have X-rays.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Fund 9172 law enforcement training grants.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Purchasing?
Yeah,
Firearms?
firearms.
Yeah, it's money that comes, it used to come from the purchase of gun permits. It now is a grant that's given through the state for the same funding, but it's for this specific purpose.
Yep. All right, may I have a roll call?
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
Next item. Do I have a motion to
Mr.
combine?
President, I would like to combine grants, appropriation, and transfers 1 through 7.
I second that.
All those in, time of roll call.
Aye. Oh,
Beaver,
aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Do I have a motion
Aye.
to approve?
You have a motion to approve
Second.
items 1 through 7.
Aye.
Would we like to do a roll call this time?
Yeah, that'd be
That'd be
great.
great, yeah.
Sorry. Who seconded that?
Me.
Mark?
Thank you.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Beaver,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Masalami.
Aye.
Alexander,
Aye.
Mackey,
Aye.
Griffin,
Aye.
Nation.
Aye.
And with that, I'll close the public hearing and any further votes.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm done. So, next item, Sheriff.
I don't have anything, thank you.
All right. Council Attorney,
Nothing for the group.
Madam Auditor.
Nothing.
Well, with that, we'll adjourn.